So, crew members here too, Caterina.
All right, I think we're going to get started. Hello. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming out this late. Thank you for braving the rain. It is absolutely going to be worth your while. I have had the honor of seeing this film, seeing a version of it a while ago, and seeing the version that you're going to see tonight, and it is absolutely terrific. Let me give a little intro to Nina. Gotta put the glasses down to do that. Nina Alvarez began her journalism career at ABC News, where she was a production associate on the acclaimed, and where we met. I'm Robe Imbriano, by the way, professor here and director of the Lipman Center. Yes, we met at ABC News. You worked on Turning Point, and I worked on something else. She went on to work in the Miami Bureau, covering news in the Southeast US and Latin America, and established the Mexico City Bureau in 1997, reporting and producing breaking news, feature, and investigative stories in Latin America and the Caribbean. Her work with the network's top on-air talent was recognized with 3 National Emmy Awards. Since 2001, she has reported and produced news and long-form stories for Univision, NBC, CNN, NPR, MTV News, and Al Jazeera from the Middle East, Africa, Central Asia, and Latin America. In 2006, Alvarez produced and directed and photographed the Showtime documentary Very Young Girls, which follows the stories of several New York City girls who were sexually exploited and trafficked domestically. She was also senior producer at the Fusion Netflix investigative series The Naked Truth, which was recognized with the Alfred I. DuPont Columbia Journalism Award, and she is currently a senior editor of investigative projects at Futuro Media Group. An important, oh, that's an old bio, my bad. Okay. I'm only a journalist, so yeah, what do I know? An important theme in her work has been the experience of migration, historically and today. She was a producer on the Oscar-nominated film Which Way Home. She produced an episode for the landmark PBS series Latino Americans, for which she received a Peabody Award. And her short film, Fields of Promise, was awarded the DuPont Columbia Journalism Award as well. Alvarez is a native New Yorker, daughter of Salvadorans and mother of a Salvadoran, Irish, French-American daughter. Let's give it up for Nina Alvarez. Okay, so this is kind of interesting because usually what happens is we screen the thing and then we talk about it so that you have a chance to ask questions about it and so that we sit up here and talk about something that you've already seen and know something about. So we're going to try to thread the needle here.
No questions. No questions.
We're going to do like a pre-Q&A without giving too much away. How would you describe the film? What is it about and what is it not about?
You said it was going to be not this hard. It's not an immigration film. And it is a film that I hope makes you think about what you have to do to be an American, what separates people from becoming Americans, what exactly are the factors that matter. I think we put a lot of importance on documents, and that, is that really what matters? And I also think this film is about the rule of law and how we implement that, and who does it really apply to. I think this is also an exploration of various tropes, that we have accepted in terms of the immigration narratives. I hope it challenges some of those narratives.
Like what? Give me an example of what a trope might be.
Well, for those of you who don't know, temporary protected status is a status that is awarded to or provided to people who are here from countries going through some kind of crisis. That could be war, it could be a natural disaster, it could be just violence in general. But it's a temporary solution, and to have this status, you can't break the law, you can't not pay taxes, you cannot be on public assistance. You don't qualify for many financial assistance programs, including college financial aid. So all of that main trope, which is that immigrants are a burden, don't really hold water if you're looking at this population.
Literally written into the law.
Literally written into the law. Those are the rules. You cannot have a felony or 3 misdemeanors. If you do, you're out. I don't know that we have to do that as citizens, right? We don't have those tests. We just have to be born here. And so I think that those tropes of criminals, of financial burdens, of taking jobs, that all falls apart when you look at this particular group of people, if you were to hold up an example.
While we're talking about TPS, this is now, in fact, what you'll see tonight in the film is you'll see a family that's grappling with it across administrations. How would you characterize the difference between the Trump administration position on TPS, particularly as it relates to Salvadorans, and the Biden administration?
I think, well, let me ask the audience here, do you think there's a big difference between, say, the Trump administration's attitude and practices vis-a-vis immigrants in this country and the Biden administration? Huge. No, not huge. Imperceptible, really. But I think there's an assumption that the Democrats love immigrants. And, but in fact, they've kept a lot of stuff intact from the Trump administration because it was easy. And in the particular case of TPS, as you'll see in the film, there is a certain expectation that the Biden administration will respond in a different way and perhaps save all these people, 400,000 people who lost their legal immigration status under the Trump administration. I think there was an expectation, probably because Biden promised it when he was campaigning, that within the first 100 days he was going to extend it. And if you looked on his website, it also said, we are going to figure out a path to citizenship. And not only did that not happen, but their position was actually quite frightening because it was just like, let's not do anything and hope people don't notice and either credit us with kicking out a lot of people or we didn't kick out a lot of people. It wasn't us. So I don't think there was a big difference, unfortunately. And I think that in some ways this is actually not a Republican and Democratic issue. This is across the board. This has become a topic that both parties have decided, well, I think Republicans have certainly decided it is the issue that will get them elected. And for Democrats, it's like, that's the issue that will get Republicans elected, so it's toxic for us.
The film...
Us, the Democrats, not me. Okay. Yes.
You've got 90 minutes. The film is 90 minutes, actually a little less.
85.
85. You've got this very...
Every minute counts, man.
I was going to say, who's counting?
Yeah.
You are.
Yes.
Yeah. You've got a very large political story here. You've got something in the neighborhood of 20,000 pages of legal documents and depositions that you had to go through, so a lot of legal material, and you've got a fairly amazing verite piece with a very remarkable family. How did you manage to balance all of that? And how, in particular, did the discovery of the legal documents change the direction that you took?
Well, first I went with the family. So just to give you a little bit of backstory, I had already been researching immigration, the Central American migrations from the 1980s. And I was very interested in all the legal fights that happened in the 80s that led to, laws that protected, still protect, but every administration has tried to tear down, including Obama, and Biden. So I think that's a very little known thing, that these laws were actually, came about as a result of those fights. When I heard about TPS coming to an end, or it looking imminent, I realized, all right, there's something here, but I didn't want to be that vulture, which was pretty much the news media at the time when they were ending TPS for various groups, and then they'd be like, show up and promise you, the audience, hey, we're going to be here counting down until they're gone.
Like a death watch, like a legal immigration death watch.
Yeah, it was like, let's watch families in pain, and as they pack it up and get ready to go or disappear. And so that was really troubling for me. But I also knew that there was going to be a response. And I knew that there were organizations that were gearing up. And that's when I thought, all right, let me see who's where and what's what. But the family I met through a group of attorneys, some of which I had met along the way in my previous research. But the family came first. The documents came as a result of their legal fight, because they argued that something wasn't right in the way these decisions were made, that suddenly there was this justification that came out of nowhere that was very narrow and was a departure from past practice. So they argued successfully, we need to see how these decisions were made, and we need the record that shows that. And so that was like 20,000 pages, and it was, Caterina, CJS 2018, woohoo, who was like organized all of those documents and created an exhibits list. Like, I didn't have to read all of it. Like, it was very carefully organized, and that, for all you reporting students, is key. When you get 20,000 documents, you actually have to go through them, and it's good to organize them so that you can find stuff and you can find the narratives in there. It's not just boring memos. Like, there's narrative in there. Mm-hmm. And it takes getting to know that material to find it. So had I not had, like, honestly, I would have been like, oh my God, the family is amazing, and we're gonna stick to the family alone. But I knew that with this, there was a layer here that was the fruit of their challenge to this decision. But there was an important layer there that hardly ever gets explored, because we love all the heroic immigrant stories, but we never see the big bad wolf and what they've actually done.
That is such a masterful job of talking around this thing that we don't want to reveal because you haven't seen it yet. But when you see it, you'll remember that and understand just how masterful that was. It's really good. There are a couple, there's so many things that I want to ask you, and I've got like 9 questions and 7 minutes. So I'm gonna cut to the chase. Let's do a little speed round. Let's talk about
Multiple choice?
What's that?
Multiple choice?
No, I'm not that good. Let's talk about sourcing. You don't just show up with a camera and get the kind of access that you did with this family and with the courts. So talk to me a little bit about the work that you had to do both with the family and also, I was amazed to see footage of federal court, a couple of federal courts in there. So talk to me about that work.
Yeah, and we also had deposition video that we were told we couldn't have, and that just means you can't get it from them. This story really kind of came to me. That hardly ever happens. But I had been researching the history of migrations from Central America and had met a lot of the lawyers who were involved in that time, who were the mentors for the lawyers who are working on these issues now. And so when this was coming up, and I was having my monthly coffee in the West Village with Carol and Patty Blum, who is an incredible immigration lawyer who deserves a film in her own right. She said, you know, I know the lawyers who are involved in, they're about to file a case against DHS around TPS terminations. You should talk to them. And yeah, so she did it. She anointed me. And that was so important to have her make that introduction to this group of lawyers who had been turning the predatory media away, the people who were like, hey, you know anybody we can follow till they get deported? And so we got to talking for several months, and it takes time. Like, they've got to get to know you, they've got to figure out, like, all right, is she for real, or is she gonna, and anyway, they decided finally, like, I could meet this family who were amazing, and they were not immediately sold either, because going against the government is one thing, but letting a camera into your house, that's like a no-no. I tell my family, run the other way. So for this family to accept that I come and hang out with them and watch to see whatever happened happen was a huge breakthrough for telling the story. And also, they were not activists, they were not media people, they were real. And they had real fears, and they were going through something so traumatic that I knew that this was going to be difficult, but I also knew that I did not want seasoned activists because they have their talking points, they have their scripts. They can be amazing, but that didn't feel right.
Practiced almost sometimes.
Yeah. And that can be hard to, that's almost harder.
No, and they go through it with such grace and humor and love and music that it does not.
Music.
Yeah, music is really, it's wonderful.
They, I mean, I think that when I've talked to them and they've seen the film now, and their initial thought was I would be there for like an interview, a couple of hours here and there.
How long were you there?
6 years.
Yeah.
We crashed their vacation, you'll see, and you know, we couldn't have done this kind of film. And it often, the balance, you mentioned the balance, that has been the hardest nut to break. Brittany, the brilliant editor, right over here, raise your hand, Brittany. Thanks to Brittany, we found as good a balance as I think we could possibly have, because still we look at it and we're like, I don't know, what do you think? But it's, because we kept hearing it's two different movies. But to me, it was so important that they be in the same movie.
No, I think you did it. So, again, we are getting down to final minutes here. Who's
That's okay, it's just like introduction stuff in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's true, but, you know.
Brought to you by.
Well, but okay, the brought to you by is actually really important, because now you've made the film, and this is really for the students. It's not enough to make the film, right?
I know, yeah.
Now you have to like get out there and make sure that it connects with the right audiences and talk to a whole lot of people and push the film and work social media and get good friends and other partners to do that. And talk to me a little bit about that part of it.
I can't, because I don't know how to do that. In the old days, we would just like send out postcards, and yeah, didn't really worry about this. This is a whole new thing. Like, I just learned what a handle is, people. Okay, like this is pathetic. But you know, I think the organizations like Firelight is here, one of the funders, as well as Monica has been a champion of this film since the very beginning. And I've actually just asked friends to step up. I've asked Natalie, who normally does social media for nonprofits, and I was like, wow, you think I should try to do some social media on this? And she said, yeah, like 6 months ago. And we just started like yesterday. So please share, okay? You are now my friends, and you must share this and get this out to everybody that you know. And, oh yeah, see? Oh, follow at Almost American Film. Thank you. Thank you, that was it. Right? On Instagram, do we have a TikTok yet? Oh my God. Who can handle the TikTok?
Did you just say who can handle a TikTok?
Yes, who can do that TikTok? I need help here.
You just made a film. So it is 9:59.
Okay, shoot, one more.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So we're going to hear one phrase a lot in this film, and I know it just must drive you completely insane at this point. But I want you to react to it. We are a nation of immigrants, but we're also a nation of laws.
Who here hasn't heard that? Okay. Are you? Oh. Okay. All right. Where are you here from? Germany. Okay. And you guys don't say that? You don't say that in Germany? We are a nation of immigrants, but we're also a nation of laws. Okay, well, for starters, but we are. And there is this implicit, the implication is we are a nation of immigrants who must be breaking the laws. Like, just by virtue of being here, somehow the laws have been, compromised. And everybody says it. This is a favorite phrase. It's like they think it's like, smart. And it's not. And it is, it's hypocritical, really, because it's also implying, like, we love immigrants, and if they only did things the right way, we would let them in. And they could be here contributing and, and contributing to our society and all that good stuff. But it's not, it's a fallacy. It's not true.
No, it's
but
almost
we
like
love to say it.
we're a nation of immigrants, but we're going to stop immigration.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Um,
So on that happy note.
On that happy note, we're going to, the film is 85 minutes. At the very end, just 2 minutes, we don't want to hold you any later, but we do want to introduce you to some special guests at the very end, okay? So here is the live feed of Almost America.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Is there a
I knew a lot of the people that were involved.
Did you have a particular motivation that led you to get more involved in the immigration working group of the transition team?
Only that I have a passion for immigration law and the rule of law, and I wanted to make sure